Welcome to your favorite Tennessee Titans podcast, Tennessee Titans Weekly. What's up, folks? What is going on? What is happening? Hey, want to give a shout out to my boy Jacques, my running partner here with the Tennessee Titans Weekly on vacation today. Want to say shout out to him. Hey, listen, look, we are back here, man, and we have a lot to talk about. And then we had those poll questions out the way. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all, look, shout out to Bleacher Report again, giving us the opportunity to do the show today. Shout out to everybody that's watching us outside of Bleacher Report. If you watch us on YouTube or any other platform, Instagram, anywhere, man, listen, we appreciate it. We are here. We doing our thing. So listen, it's your boy Hawk here from Tennessee Titans Weekly. If you look at the topic of the show today, and there's been a lot of discussion about Will Levis as far as what the Titans are going to do with Will Levis. And of course, a lot of people may get rid of Will Levis. We drafted Cam Ward. Will Levis, we had only 3 wins last year. Will Levis was the meme god last year. All kind of things, right? And I get that. I do understand that. And I understand why we drafted a quarterback pick 1. I get it. But I'm going to tell you something, man. When I really look at the totality of our roster and even in our quarterback position, I actually think it's a smart move to actually keep Will Levis. I think it'll be a smart way for us going into next season to know, we do have, outside of Cam Ward, we do have another quarterback on our roster that can get it done in case things happen. Now, I know people are thinking like, well, what the hell are you talking about? Why would you keep Will Levis? So there are other reasons why I think that's the case. I think if anything, Will Levis holds a key piece to the future of the franchise in a lot of ways. And what I mean is Will Levis himself can be a trading piece for us for down the road. Or Will Levis could be a situation if, something was to happen to Cam Ward, we have a capable backup quarterback that can go in and give you some games and things like that. It keeps the competitive edge for Cam Ward as well because Will Levis is here and nothing's given. So, if anything, that should motivate Cam Ward. I've been hearing Cam Ward getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting some film study, getting some work in. And again, I know that's what he has been doing since he was in college, but it keeps that edge. When you know somebody that is, behind you, vying for your position, that was your starter last year, you're going to want to do everything that you can to keep that position. And you earn that position on a daily basis. So I think those are some advantages of keeping Will Levis on our team. Now, another thing that I look at too is you got to look at our backup quarterbacks, man. We got Tim Boyle and Brandon Allen, 2 guys that haven't won anything in the NFL. So just say something happens to Cameron Ward. How comfortable are you if Tim Boyle or Brandon Allen is our backup quarterback, right? What if any of them had to play any considerable amount of time? I don't think anyone, even outside the Titans fandom, including us, of course, will feel comfortable having Tim Boyle and Brandon Allen as our backup quarterback. I think we have probably some of the worst backup QBs at QB 3 and 4 right now. And so having Will Levis as QB 2 would be something of interest for me in case something happens to Cam Ward. Now, if you look at the poll question as well, too. So I would think as well, if you look at, the opportunity for Will Levis for us, I think Will Levis has a great opportunity for himself to make himself more of a value to some other team. There are a lot of teams out there that are struggling at quarterback. I can think of even teams like the New Orleans Saints, the Pittsburgh Steelers. These guys have a bunch of guys on their roster at quarterback. And when you look at Will Levis, he could put himself in the preseason and ball out. So what does that do? That not only helps him to get him somewhere where he might want to be and be a starter one day, but it also increases us as well as far as our value from a trade standpoint. If that was the case, if the Titans decided to move forward without Will Levis, man, don't just drop him like a bag of chips, man. Get you some trade value for him. If you could get, and we got that poll question out the way as well, too, as far as if we were to trade Will Levis, what do you think would be the best value we can get out of Will Levis? Now, I'm speaking on Will Levis doing a hell of a job out there in the preseason, doing well in camp and those things. So far from what I've seen in OTAs, Will Levis has looked pretty good. He normally does do that, as to why he became the starter last year. But then when on the field, when things sort of break through and break down, that's where you see a lot of times Will Levis struggles. That's when you start seeing the memes that he starts to create on accident, right? So, I look at that and I think, when Brian Callahan is like, look, you need to stop all that bull crap, man. Callahan had to do that a few times with Will Levis, and Will Levis had to take ownership of that. Or some of the biggest mistakes that he made last year a lot of those losses that we had, especially early in the season, was on him. That was on him. So I see somebody in the comment as well. K Hines, what's going on, man? Said Levis and Ward will be like RG3 and Kirk Cousins, so they need to trade Levis. So that's not a bad point. I get that. I think it's a little different because when you look at RG3 and Kirk Cousins, both of them were drafted in the same year. And so they were really battling, honestly, for number one. In this situation for the Titans, I don't really see that being the issue. Cam Ward is going to be our number one quarterback regardless. So, they're going to battle it out. And if for any reason Will Levis wins the starting position in 2025, it'll only be a short period of time where Cam Ward will start going in there and things like that. But I don't think Cam Ward is going to allow that to happen. I do think Cam Ward understands the situation that he's in. I do understand that, Cam Ward is like, I'm going to work my tail off to get that. And I'm not going to let anything stop me from being a starter, for sure. I think if there's anything that could stop Will Levis or stop Cam Ward from being a starter on our team, man, tell me, did y'all see this, man, in Murfreesboro, man? This has made the news all across, man. This zebra that was found in a neighborhood just walking in a neighborhood, a zebra? What is that? What is that? Oh, I think the zebra was trying to go to a Titans game, man. I think that's all that was, man. I think he was like, man, I'm about to throw on my Cam Ward jersey, man, and I'm about to go see the Titans game. I'm going to go 30 miles away from the city, man, and from Murfreesboro to Nashville to go watch Cam Ward play, man. So not only are we excited for the season, so is that zebra as well that was found in Murfreesboro. Okay, all right. So the question I have out there is, what would be the best value for Will Levis? Okay, so I think generally speaking, and we got, folks that have answered already, a future 5th round and 6th round pick would be okay. As you all know, we drafted Will Levis in the 3rd round. I personally think that if Will Levis can do very well, I think the Titans could push a team to trade for a 4th round pick. Now, I said this about a month or two ago. I had a lot of people laughing at me, and I understand that. But Will Levis is a quarterback, and there's a lot of value in quarterback position. And Will Levis, a coach could look at Will Levis and say, look, man, I got a guy that's 6'3", 6'4", who's got a rocket arm, who's got size, who's not afraid, who has won some football games in the NFL. I could do something with Will Levis from a project standpoint. I'm willing as a team that have quarterback issues to spend a 4th round pick on Will Levis. Now, it depends on Will Levis. If he performs very bad in the preseason or in camp, then I think all we're going to get is a 5th and 6th round pick. But if I'm the Titans, I am positioning Will Levis to do his absolute best, not only for the team, just in case we keep him, but as well as for a trade value standpoint. So I still think right now, as we speak right now, it'll be a smart move to keep Will Levis right now. Unless we trade for a quarterback. There's been rumors about maybe Jameis Winston for the New York Giants, given that they got Jackson Dart and Russell Wilson. There's even about Kenny Pickett in Cleveland, with Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson. One of those guys has got to go. But when I look at those quarterbacks, I'd rather have Will Levis. I don't know about you all. I'd rather have a guy that's been here, knows the offense, and could be an emergency quarterback if we need him. This is Will Levis's last year in his contract. Will Levis himself can position himself to be something or do something this season. I would think it's smart to keep Will Levis. And I will be ticked off if we end up cutting Will Levis and getting nothing out of it. You're going to cut him, at least get something out of it. But I'd understand if the Titans decided to let go of Will Levis. I do understand that because we do have our quarterback for the future, and that is Miami quarterback Cameron Anthony Ward. His mama named him Cameron Anthony. I'm going to name him Cameron Anthony Ward. Welcome back to Nashville, Cam. So that is my questions there for Cam Ward and for Will Levis as well, too. So I have another question for you all as well that's watching the show. What are the chances that Will Levis starts week 1 of this season with the Tennessee Titans? What are the chances? What do you all think? All right, so I think there's a 0% chance. I said earlier maybe about a 25% chance, but I really like what I'm seeing out of Cam Ward. He's not playing around. He's being very serious. I think it would only take a situation where, Will Levis Cam Ward gets hurt or something like that, then Will Levis might give an opportunity. But I do think from a chance standpoint, really based on what Will Levis did last season and the year before, I think Will Levis has a 0% chance of starting in 2025 for the Tennessee Titans. Now, he actually might have a better chance starting somewhere else, at least starting out, if there's situations that go on, whether it be injuries or bad quarterback play, things like that as a free agent. if he's traded soon enough. But I don't think that Will Levis going into the season will be the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans in no form or fashion. I think we drafted Cam Ward for a reason. There's been some success with rookies right now, that has started as a rookie, even just last year with Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. We've even had, other quarterbacks, Bryce Young and those guys. And again, ladies and gentlemen, Cam Ward was drafted number 1. So I think that carries weight as well, too. So I do think that Will Levis has no shot of starting game 1 versus the Denver Broncos at Denver. I think they're going to give Cam Ward the opportunity to do that and go from there. So let me know what you all think. I see a comment as well from K. Hines. He said, bro, did you see Levis last season? No, he needs to go. Did I see him last season? Absolutely. Did I also say that we need to draft Cam Ward immediately? Said that in October. Me and Jacques both said that. So we did see Will Levis. We're not sitting there saying that Will Levis is the franchise quarterback, nor are we saying that he does not have any value, because he does have value. He's a quarterback. And I'm saying if we do keep him, it's only to be a quarterback number 2. But I understand the Tennessee Titans letting him go based upon what happened last year and based upon us drafting Cameron Anthony Ward. I understand that as well, that Will Levis will not be a member of the Tennessee Titans in 2025. Now, you did spend a 3rd-round pick on Will Levis, so that does carry weight. So my hope is if you do trade him, get something more than a 5th round if you can. If you can't, I get it. Test the market. If you're looking at, if you're Brian Callahan and you're looking at your roster and those things, man, look to see what you can do in the future to make that trade. But it's on Mike Barganzi at the end of the day in making that deal as the general manager. All right, so enough about Will Levis and to why I think it'll be a smart move to try to keep him if you can. Again, shout out to everybody watching the show. If you have not followed us, man, follow us now at Lorenzo_the Hawk. You can follow my boy Jacques as well at Jacques Merrill. We're out there. Let's get it done. All right, so let's talk about the team. Let's talk about right now what you all have seen in the OTAs. All right, so this is what I look at as well. And we got a comment by Mike Rice. Let's see what you got, Mike Rice. Let's see what Mike Rice says. He says, Cam is at the 10th facility at 5 a.m. every day. You drafted him number 1. How is he not? I totally agree with that. And I did mention that earlier as to why I know that he'll have the starting position on lock based on things like that. Going in the facility at 5 a.m., man, he's serious, man. Cam Ward is not out to play around and play games. Cam Ward he's very serious out there. Hold on, my microphone just dropped. All right, cool. Okay. All right. Cam Ward is serious out there. And, this is a situation with Cam quarterback for 10 to 15 years. So, I'm very excited to have Cam Ward here as our quarterback. And great comments in the comment section, by the way, as well. All right, so let's talk about the Titans. Let's just talk about the roster and what you all have seen. So what you all have seen so far, I know you've seen on Twitter, YouTube, the Titans page, radio station, whatever. Tell me what you all have seen so far, and I'm speaking mostly about the rookies. So outside of Cam Ward and defensive end Femi Adejo, who changed his number 7, who have you seen so far in camp that looks really good as a rookie? Who do y'all think? And we got that poll question out the way. So I want to say this. The one guy that I think I've seen that is going to get some starter time and could start at a position and said it when he was drafted is tight end Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm comes from the University of Texas. He was the leading receiver at the University of Texas. Even with the guys they had on their roster, tight end is a position where it's wide open, if you ask me. You have Chig, but, I'm not going to sit there and say Chig has everything on lock. And I'm still saying, even if he's tight end number 1, Gunnar Helm could be tight end number 2 and still get those minutes. I really like Gunnar Helm. I like his size. He can block. You got 6'5", man, and you lead an SEC team in receiving. When you have 2 NFL receivers on your team, one being a first-round pick, hey, man, I really, really like Gunnar Helm to get some starter minutes and play a lot in year 1 for the Tennessee Titans. And I'll tell you this as well, too. Another guy that I've seen that's done well as far as the rookies, and I'm going to say Elik Ayomena, and I think he's gotten better as camp is going on. He seems smoother, like he's even lost some weight. I see that he has built some type of chemistry with Cam Ward. Him and Cam Ward have been on some conversations on, running particular routes, making sure that he understands what he needs to do on those things. And I think that's important for two rookies, especially a quarterback and a receiver, to be eye and lock and step with each other. So I've been very impressed with Elike Amana as well, too. And again, I've been very impressed with the majority of the rookies so far that I've seen. Shamir DK has done well as well. These guys right now are performing very well so far in OTAs. Now, once they get their pads on those things, we know it's a different ballpark. But for what we can discuss now and cover now is what we see with these guys right now, just wearing jerseys, shorts, and cleats right now. So I'm going to say Gunnar Helm. If you all think any different, please, put that in the comments. We do have a comment again from Kay Hines. He says, the Titans is a better team than the Commanders was last season. If the coaches can coach, I think we can be a good team. Okay, so all right, so I feel you on that. I think the Washington Commanders the year before won 4 football games and then went to the NFC Championship the next season. The Titans only won 3 football games. So potato, I guess. Just only 1 game more. That's a heck of an argument. But I would say this: are you expecting Cam Ward to be like Jaden Daniels? Because that's what it's going to have to take to get a 3-win football team to an AFC championship. That is not the norm. And just because it happens doesn't mean it's going to always happen every year. You know what I'm saying? So, I would think if that's to happen, Cam Ward would have to be the rookie of the year. He would have to play in some type of Jaden Daniels type of way. And, that remains to be seen. In saying that, K.L. Hines, I think you're saying that the Titans are a playoff team. I don't quite see that yet. I think we still have a lot of work to do. I still think our roster is still in the bottom of the league. So I think we got some ways to go. I think if there was a change, if there was one player that could help move us to the mountains, would be Cam Ward. And that's your quarterback. So, we'll see. But I do like what the rookies have done so far right now. All right, so Mike Rice is saying, I want to see a mixture of the draft picks last year and the year start in the preseason. I want to see the exact same thing as well, Mike Rice, for sure. And, those guys are going to get that opportunity to get on the field and do that and things like that. And Kay Hines says, I don't see a championship team, but an 8-win team. I get you on 8 wins. Right now, from what I've seen on the schedule, I see a 6-win football team. If it's an 8-win team, man, I'll give you a shout out for sure if we win 8 or more games. I see 6 right now, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So speaking of the rookies, I'm speaking of Gunnar Helm, of the guys that we drafted. Now, here's another question I have from what you all have seen in the OTAs. So who has been the biggest surprise in the OTAs? Who do you all feel has been like a wow? Okay, so if you look here, we got James Williams, the linebacker, and Cedric Gray right now. Both of them are vying as starters right now, which is huge. We brought in some free agents like Cody Barton and those things, but James Williams and Cedric Gray right now starting linebackers. And Tajay Spears has looked really good running the football. But let me tell you who's been my biggest surprise so far, man, and it's a free agent. That's Xavier Restrepo. Restrepo right now I've seen, lead the line in with the receivers. He's not afraid. He knows about Cam Ward. That was his quarterback last year. Xavier Restrepo had an incredible career at the University of Miami. When you think of all the receivers that have come through, Restrepo is the all-time leading receiver in Miami history. So that says a lot. Yes, he wasn't drafted. A lot of people speak on his 40 time and his size. I get it. But Restrepo is putting himself in position based on how he's practicing to make this football team. It's going to be tough because he's a free agent. You have receivers out there. They just brought in even James Prochet. They have receivers on this roster, and they drafted 2 receivers at that as well. So I'm not saying it's insurmountable for him not to make this football team, but he's got to be consistent every single day to make this team or look to play special teams. Add something to your repertoire. Add something to your resume to make sure that you are sure stay here with the Tennessee Titans. But I'm going to tell you, Xavier Restrepo has been the biggest surprise in OTA so far. He's catching with precision. He's running good routes. He looks a lot faster than what you might think in the 40. I think Xavier Restrepo, man, has really put himself, even if he doesn't make the team, he's going to put himself in position to make a team in the NFL just based on that. But give a shout out to Cam Ward. He knows Xavier Restrepo. He told the GM and them, hey, look, bring in Restrepo. Let's see what he can do, man. Bring him in camp. That guy's ready, and that's exactly what he's doing. So shout out to Xavier Restrepo, who I feel has been the biggest surprise in the OTAs so far. Now, I will get back to defense. James Williams, the converted safety, who I had us to draft in our pre-mock draft last year, and Cedric Gray, the inside linebacker that was a 3rd-round pick. These 2 guys, if they do well for us, y'all, I'm telling you, that's going to help us in the future, man. That's going to help us for this year moving forward where you'll start seeing us maybe win more football games because you got your young guys that are guys you drafted start doing well, especially in year 2. Towards the end of the season last year, the last 3 games, I saw James Williams getting better every game. I think just literally learning how to play linebacker. This guy here, he's not afraid to make tackles. He'll go up, he'll make tackles. Cedric Gray is more of a leader out there on the football field, a middle linebacker. He did that in North Carolina. I think he can do it again this year with a very young football team. I really like what I've seen out of those 2 linebackers and the fact that they're starting right now. So that's huge. As long as James Williams can stay in that linebacker mindset and Cedric Gray can stay healthy, we might have something at linebacker for sure. And when you look at those second-year guys, I see Brownlee out there. Jarvis Brownlee doing his thing like he did last year. I see Devondre Sweat as well. So you got you got rookies from last year that are going into their second year, man. If those guys can perform well, plus the rookies that we have and a few veterans that we have as well, I can see over time us getting better every single season versus where we were last year. So again, shout out to these players. Keep getting better. Work hard. Make this team what it is. There's plenty of opportunities to get playing time on this team. We don't have a great roster. You have a chance to do something. Work hard. Get your money. Let's get some wins for the Tennessee Titans. So I have it open now. If my favorite part of the show here tonight, man, as we always do, me and Jacques, man, is the live chop up, man. As you know, we allow everyone to start asking questions in the comment section. If you ask a question, man, and it's a good question, bro, we will put that up on the screen for sure. All right, so Mike Rice says the offensive line will tell the story on how the season is going to go. Man, I tell you this, dude, that is so true, bro. It is on the offensive line. And I think when you look at our O-line now, our roster is much better than what it was last year, for sure. Like Dan Moore from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and some people might have clowned the pick, but, at the end of the day, man, hey, we need a left tackle. And then you take J.C. Latham, put him in his position, the right tackle, and J.C. Latham's lost like 30 pounds out there. He looks slender. And he himself says, look, I could have done better. And I said that all season last year. I liked how J.C. Latham played. But I wasn't going to change what I was thinking. Like, hey, he could do better. He could do better. And he himself took that ownership by him losing weight. And the thing is, he played all season. He led us in minutes last year. So that to me is huge. So now you got a more focused J.C. Latham. You got Dan Moore. And you look on the inside as well, too, man. Hopefully Cushenberry will come back as well. You look at Peter Skoronski, and then you look at the offensive lineman that we got from the Detroit Lions. So you have a core of offensive linemen right now that is much better than we were last year. But I'm going to put really the onus of the O-line, Mike, on Bill Callahan. It's on Bill Callahan, Brian's dad. You bring in Bill Callahan, who is supposed to be this offensive guru when it comes to the line, which he has in his career. And last year, I didn't feel the O-line did well. I didn't. And it showed. We won 3 football games. So, I think that, I understand, being new and things like that, man, but that's the story of all the NFL. There's a lot of teams that don't have their linemen for several years. So now you got guys that was there last year. You got Skoronski, you got J.C. Latham. They were there last year. Cushenberry, though he got hurt, he was there last year. Let's scrap the excuses. Get on the football field. Dan Moore, we paid you. Let's get on the football field. Let's get it done. That's what we need to do. It is on the offensive line, Mike Rice. I totally freaking agree. Great comment. So, looking at it as well, too, man, when I look at the team, and I'm speaking of Kevin Zettler as well, so I do apologize. That's the other offensive lineman that we had as well, too. So, yes, the O-line was bad. I mean, when you look at the PFF rating last year, 2 out of 32 teams, the Tennessee Titans was number 30 in the league on offensive line PFF end of the year rating. So that tells you right there. What else needs to be said? There's nothing else to be said. So, we have to do better. And I understand as well, you had quarterback play that was bad in Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. A lot of quarterback sacks. I could put the blame on them for sure, and things. And that is what it is. But hopefully, we can overcome those things with Cam Ward as our quarterback, maybe limit some of those sacks, and just in general, just eliminate a lot of stupid, penalties that the O-line had last year and some of the wide open tackles that took place when you had Nicholas Petit-Ferrer out there. I mean, it was just bad, man. It was just bad. So, yeah, our O-line, hopefully we can do better in those things for sure. So yeah. So we got another minute or so for any more questions as well. Again, I don't know for those that saw this in Murfreesboro, man, this is crazy, man. A zebra that was walking through, man, a zebra in the neighborhood, man. No, that is wild. That is wild. That's been the story of the city here in the Middle Tennessee area. And he's just trying to go to a Titans game. That's all. He's like, man, that's all I'm trying to do, bro. Go Titans, man. That's it. That's it. So, but I tell you this too, man. When I look at Cam Ward, when I look at this guy here, this guy's special, man. All right. And we're lucky to have a quarterback of this nature. I don't know how his rookie year is going to go, but the work ethic is there. The want to be there. The willingness is there. He's got it. And he was the number one pick for a reason. And so, that's the position that we were in to draft, and we drafted our quarterback. And I'm very excited to have him as our quarterback. Mike Rice asked the question, how do you feel about special teams? So when I think of special teams, like last year, I think our special teams, and I don't have the PFF in front of me now, but for what I remember last year, the Titans were in the middle 20s when it came to PFF ranking in special teams. I think last year our special teams cost us at least 3 games last year. We allow punt coverage to get punt blocks more often than you normally would. There are times NFL teams might only get maybe 2 punt blocks the whole season. We had like 4 weeks in a row we had a punt block on us. That's not supposed to happen. So my hope for special teams this year is that we have improved. Overall, I think right now we're still in the midst of trying to look for a kickoff and punt returner. Jaquan Jackson last year, the rookie, was very good early, but fell off towards the end of the season. And so we did get we do have we still got Morgan Cox out there. We still got a lot of the same players out there on our special teams. John Fossil is our new special teams coach, so I hope that really makes a difference for the Tennessee Titans in those things. But we'll see how it goes, man. You don't really know special teams right now until the season starts or whatever, as far as who they're going to put out there. They drafted some guys towards the end of the draft that could possibly, in Khalil Mullings and maybe could, Marcus Harris as well. Those guys could play some special teams. But we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. I don't think you can be any worse than we were last year, for real. Yeah. So great question. So yeah, well, I tell y'all this, listen, I really appreciate everybody joining in the show as well today, man. And, again, if you haven't followed us today, man, shame on you. Follow us today here, Tennessee Titans Weekly. Follow us here on Bleacher Report at Lorenzo_the Hawk. You can follow my counterpart as well at Jacques Merrill. Hit the like button, too. Hit the fire button that you see on here as well, too. Join us every Wednesday here on Bleacher Report for sure as well. When you look at us on YouTube, we're at Tennessee Titans Weekly. We're on Twitter at Titans Weekly 24/7. We're on Instagram at Tennessee Titans Weekly. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We are everywhere covering the Tennessee Titans. We are Titan fans through and through. We live in the city. We're from here. We love the Titans, man. That's what we believe, man. So I want to say thank you all as well for everybody joining the show. Again, thank you, Bleacher Report, as well. And listen, wherever you are, I hope your day goes well. The rest of your week goes well as well. And as we always say, and as we always do around these parts, facts, no paper.